I have two questions, mostly for General Hayden. You are now working for a company that does contract with the intelligence community, NISC, as I understand it. I think it's natural that you would talk positively about contractors, but I think you would have, I just wonder about your credibility in terms of, since you are a contractor now, working for a contractor, making money from this business, you know, should we take your word on contractors with a little grain of salt? And second, would you, when you appear on television talking about intelligence issues, will you identify yourself as a contractor rather than just former director of the CIA or former director of the NSA? That's part one of my question. Part two is the Inspector General report came out about a month ago about the NSA surveillance program. What I found interesting in that report, among many things, was that they interviewed 200 people involved in the program, including yourself, former and current officials, as well as private sector people. However, none of the private sector people were identified, either by name or company. Shouldn't we as American citizens know who these high-level people are working for our intelligence, since companies like Booz Allen, SAIC, CACI, and so on are doing such very high-level work for the intelligence agencies? Shouldn't we know who these people are and who these companies are in a more clear way? Thank you.
Yeah. With regard to your first question, I'm not a very creative guy. And everything I said this morning about contractors, I said in 2006, 2007 as director of the agency. And I had to make it very clear that when we were reducing contractors, it was about us, not about contractors. And the story about contractor stars on the walls, I've told multiple times as director. My affiliation with the Chertoff Group was made quite public. And in fact, I do identify myself as a member of the Chertoff Group most times when I'm involved in any public discourse. With regard to the IG report, I really take no ownership over that. I was one of the 200 people who were interviewed. There were some people who were not interviewed. That's one class of folks. And then I wasn't aware, but I take your word for it, there were another group who were interviewed but not further identified. That might reflect something the Secretary had said earlier, that you have people out there who are taking serious personal and financial risk by doing what I would unarguably call the patriotic thing. In fact, I was surprised as director of both NSA and CIA how much American business will put themselves at risk for no profit motive in order to assist American intelligence agencies. And I think what you may be seeing there is a version of trying to protect them from the kind of legal actions, or at least public criticism, that seems to be more prominent in recent times. As I said before, CIA, NSA, the intelligence community does not live isolated inside the broader American political culture. One of the greatest advantages we have is to rely on us as a society to help us achieve our mission. And believe me, there's nothing nefarious or dark about that. It is something that, if the story were better known, most Americans, I think, would be very proud of. But there are elements out there who seem to, quote unquote, want to go after anyone who becomes affiliated with us. And so I think it may have been that caution that caused what you described.
I think it's an issue of transparency.
Well, I mean, yeah, there is transparency, but transparency is a good but not an absolute good. I mean, everybody has secrets. I could ask you about your sources, and anybody in the room, well, why are you using unnamed sources? Actually, I do believe there's a reason for that, and that you do protect your sources. And so no one's insisting on absolute transparency from anyone. There's always a balance to be drawn. We can argue as to whether that's the appropriate balance, but I think there is a balance all the time.
Thank you. Eli Lake, Washington Times. Can you talk about the difference between the clearance process for contractors versus employees for these tasks? And do you think that as the community relies more on these contractors, that there could be a counterintelligence risk as they get more into collection issues and other sorts of sensitive areas? Yes, for Mr. Hayden, yes.
There is no difference in terms of the clearance. However, by using contractors, you do have certain opportunities. Let me